Winter Solstice Garden Prep, your essential checklist for springtime planting. Let's get your garden ready for springtime on the shortest day of the year. This Winter Solstice checklist covers everything you need to do right now for a thriving, beautiful garden come springtime. Let's dive in. Even though today is the shortest day of the year, the last frost date's right around the corner. In Zone 9, February 6th through the 28th. In Zone 8, March 13th through the 28th. Here in Zone 7, March 22nd. That's a couple days before spring. You got a little bit more time in Zone 6, sometime between April 1st and the 21st is your last frost date. It's right around the corner. So we got to be thinking about what we want to plant. I know it seems a little early to be thinking about things you want to plant, especially since I have stuff under cover. It was chilly the last couple days. Yesterday didn't give above about 35. It's not warmed up much. Today is about 40 right now. The sun is wonderful, but I'm going to go ahead and leave everything covered and let that ground stay warm. That way tonight's cold. We'll be ready for the warm up tomorrow. Oh, the shortest day of the year. It is a glorious day. It just tells us springtime is around the corner. Now, whether you're an experienced gardener or you want to start a new garden, this checklist will give you a few things to work on over the next couple weeks. The first thing on my list, and it seems obvious, is garden cleanup. And that's just cut and drop here in the deep mulch. It's just that simple. You just clear your trellises or cut off your dead plants, leave the roots in the soil. You want to keep that life going. To clean up the garden, all you got to do is cut and drop. And now the second thing on the list is mulch. We are a deep mulch garden after all. So I brought in some piles of mulch. I'm going to continue to do that. We'll spread it out. We'll try to get a nice even layer over the entire garden. 4 inches thicker. Keep that life going. When we're talking about mulch, we've got all kinds of options. Right here I've got a couple piles of wood chips. And here we've got a bunch of leaves. I also got hay, which we're going to spread out across the top. And if you don't have access to a lot of anything else, you can always go down to the feed store and get animal bedding. And this is just pine shavings. It's kiln dried. It breaks down very slowly. It's easy to move around and it's not very expensive. And over the years, as I've expanded the garden, I found I couldn't get any one particular kind of mulch that could cover the entire thing. That's where we came up with the mixed mulch. So anything organic you can get your hands on, just mix it all together. The key is you want to layer it on at least 4 inches thick. A lot thicker is better. It breaks down a lot faster than you think, even in the winter. The next thing on the list is you want to have some kind of protection for your garden. If you've got anything growing out there, any of your cold hardy plants, even with the inclement weather coming up, we may need to protect them a little bit. I've got Swiss chard and beets and carrots and cabbage and a whole bunch of things underneath that plastic right now. We could have some nice big long stretches of cold or snow or ice. You want to give them just a little bit of protection. Plastic stretched over a frame simulates a greenhouse and allows light to get in there. But if you don't have that and you just need a little bit of protection for a short term, even a bucket, that'll help. You don't want to leave this on too long because a plant will need the sun at some point. One of the things that we've done is we use straw bales and hay bales to make cold frames. This works really well to stretch your plastic over. It will also support plastic window panes or glass window panes. I kind of like the plastic because when you pull it back, you don't have to worry about it breaking or storing it someplace in between. And then you just pull it back over when it gets cold. The drawback with the plastic is the wind will move it, so you have to weight it down all around the edges to make sure you're keeping that cold air out. And that's the key. You want to keep the cold air off of your plants. The plastic will keep the soil warm, and as long as the roots are warm in that soil and that life is still going, you're going to be just fine. Now, we also like using these plastic totes. And look at that. Lettuce and our kale are doing really well underneath there. And so is my favorite wild edible from the garden. We're going to have a winter treat. I know there's a lot of people out there that think dandelions are nothing more than a weed. They're not a weed. They're wonderful. You can eat the leaves, you can eat the roots. The flowers are just glorious. The next thing on your list is planting. Yes, winter planting. Here's one little patch of garlic, and I haven't even mulched that. Remember, your garlic needs some kind of frost time to bulb out. With this much green on it, though, forecast says it's going to get real cold. We will throw some hay over the top of this, and it'll be just fine. Garlic's not the only thing that grows really well in this kind of weather. Cilantro, parsley, arugula, spinach, those are all very cold-hardy plants that are good to have in your garden right now. And it's a good idea to get some onion seeds going in the house right now. And as soon as they sprout, get them out in the garden. And remember, just cut and drop. Next thing on the list, be repairing any fences, putting up new trellises in anticipation of next year, which also goes back to your seed catalog. Now's a good time to start dreaming. Not only dreaming about what you want to have in the garden, but it's a good time to reflect on what went well. Also what you might want to improve on. And if I tried to complete that entire checklist today, on the shortest day of the year, I wouldn't be successful. But we've got a couple weeks. You put these to practice, you'll be ready for spring. You're going to have a thriving garden. And it really doesn't take much to keep everything thriving throughout the winter. You can do this too. I hope these tips are helpful. I'd like to see your springtime garden. And until next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.